How are you supposed to grow as a producer when finding time to make music on a regular basis feels impossible? Well, we've spent the last 12 years solving this exact problem for our own students. And if it works for them, it means you too can eventually achieve massive results faster by doing less. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact steps you can take to make this next year your best ever. But first, I want to ask you a question. If you end up achieving your goals as an artist, getting to that place you dream of, do you think you're going to have more time on your hands or less? Well, if you dream big like Moose, I'm going to say it's less. And that's why you need to put an emphasis and focus on becoming a more efficient producer. We need to learn how to get shit done with the little time that we have. All right, the process starts by re-examining how we work on music. I'd suggest splitting up your studio time into two different types of sessions. There's going to be working on your current song and then everything else. Part of being efficient is being prepared. I want to show you how to use specific targeted sessions to help you never waste time with things. If you're someone who wastes a lot of time during the writing stage, struggling to come up with ideas, I might have the solution for you. We're going to cheat and we're going to steal. We're not going to steal other people's songs. We're just going to steal their process. Songwriters across all genres will go to these writing camps where a bunch of them get together, they lock themselves in a room, they light some candles, and they start jamming out and writing songs. But it's just vibing, it's just having fun. They're not trying to finish, produce, mix, master a whole record. But when the writing camp's over, they step back and they look at what they've created. And there might be a handful of songs in there that are worthy of finishing, producing, mixing, mastering, all that stuff. But they took the pressure off themselves of having to deliver a great song in that moment, in one studio session. And we do this to ourselves a lot, right? It's like you have a Saturday to get in the DAW and make real progress on a song, but you end up wasting that whole session just trying to come up with a song idea. And in many cases, it's like that 3-hour window goes by and you leave that session, you don't even have a song idea. Now, instead, what happens if you show up to that session and there's already a folder of inspiration? Song ideas that you can pursue, you could develop and finish. This is the first exercise I want to suggest you try. If you struggle to write ideas on the spot, give yourself an opportunity to write with no pressure at all. Create your own writing camp, even if it's just you by yourself. Give yourself a couple days, and every time you sit down in the DAW, you're just writing ideas. They could be good, they could be bad, they could be weird, just write. Because after you've finished, you're going to look back into that folder and realize there actually are several ideas in there that are still inspiring you. They're worth pursuing. Now, as great as that is, it's still not enough. To understand the next item on our list, I want to take you back to my childhood hero. Bob Ross was a painter with the softest voice in the world, but that's not why I loved him. It was his amazing hair. Believe it or not, when I actually did have hair, at some point I did, it kind of looked just like his. So he was always the GOAT in my eyes. I wanted hair like Bob Ross, but I'm getting kind of far away from the example I wanted to give you. Bob Ross was a painter. Do you think he had to go to the store to buy paint every time he wanted to paint a picture? Of course not. I'm sure he had a collection of all different paints and all different colors already in his studio. And for each painting, he'd go pick the colors he wants to use, he'd put them on his palette, and from there, he could start to tweak those colors to fit his painting. The blue he might have started with isn't the exact blue he wants for his sky. He's gonna have to adjust that. Bringing this back to production, you don't have to go shopping for all your synths and instruments every single time you make a song. What I mean by this is, imagine if you had your own palette of all sounds that fit your style, your genre, your taste. And this could include presets from synth packs. It could be tutorials and sounds you watched and made. It could be drum racks and loops. But imagine having a folder of these sounds already labeled, organized in a way that makes sense for you. When it's time for you to make a song, and let's say you need a Reese bass, it's already been made by you. You might even have several different versions of it. Now, is that sound going to be the perfect fit right away? Probably not, but that's okay. This is like the blue paint with the blue sky. You have the right color to start, but now you might need to just adjust it to fit your specific painting or your specific song. I want to suggest spending dedicated studio sessions building these libraries. This is going to exponentially speed up your production process when these sounds are already made for you. I've got a few tips for you to keep in mind. To start building this, go back to old projects and songs you worked on and find the sounds in there that you loved. These already have a lot of processing on them, which is good. They come polished. Sure, they'll need to be tweaked to your next song, but it's going to save you time. Now, when saving these, I do recommend recommend saving it with this post-processing attached to it. All the different DAWs have different names for this. So Ableton calls it instrument racks, Logic calls it channel strip settings, and with FL, you could do it through saving mixer states or patcher presets. You could do this with drums too, where you put a bunch of your favorite sounds in a rack and they're there for you ready to use. All right, I want to talk about some other ways you could speed up your production and mixing process. Let me ask you this. If I was willing to hire you an assistant, like it's on me, I'm paying for it, would you take it? And their job would be to prepare the DAW for you before each session. Do all the dirty work. They'll have your favorite synths you like to write with. Your channels will load with your favorite EQs already on them. Amazing, right? Well, guess what? I lied. I can't pay for that because I can't afford it. I bought Moose this gold chain on Amazon and I'm broke. So you're gonna have to do this yourself. The good news is it'll only take you about 5 to 10 minutes and you'll forever be thankful for it. If you don't have a custom template that you made, you should seriously consider it. But the general concept is you want to preload your DAW with everything that you would want to start with, and then you save it. So you might have your favorite synths that you like to write with. You might even like to have some drum loops or drum racks ready to go. You can think about setting up some sends and returns with different effects. These could be reverbs, delays, and you could have multiple of each. You can also have a master channel that you work into from the start. It can have some of your favorite metering plugins like a spectrum analyzer or a referencing plugin to compare and make better decisions. Another thing you could do is create channel defaults. So for example, I can preload either an audio track or a MIDI track with all of the plugins I would want to always pop up here, save it, and anytime I open up a new track now, it comes with that processing already on it. Another thing to think about would be processing chains. You can group a series of plugins together and save them. Think about how clutch this is when it comes to something like vocal processing. Here's an example of one of Cosmic's own. Bexy. This is her vocal chain and vocal rack. It comes preloaded with all of these effects and it helps to instantly get your vocal sitting well in the mix, dressed up with effects. It's a huge time saver. It's actually really good too, I use it. But you could also do this for things like your drum bus, a series of plugins, different master chains. All of this can be saved. Now you could also think about having different templates for your different stages. You can have a more creative template that you like to write in, and if you like to export stems and mix in a separate project, you could have a mixing template. Just take this concept and make it work for you. And with all that said, I do understand that sometimes making these difficult decisions in the moment by yourself, it's hard. And it's not even just like this video, but all the shit we talk about on this channel. If you're someone that would rather just like sit down one-on-one, me and Justin figure this shit out for you specifically, I get it. It's why we do what we do. It's why we've had a school for over 10 years now. I'm gonna put a link to apply to the program in the comments pinned up top. Fill one out if you're looking for that form of accelerated learning. All right, moving on to the next one. And honestly, it's gonna be the most important part of this entire thing. There are a handful of skills that every successful music producer has. And once you know them, and more importantly, know how to incorporate them into your process, this is where you will start to see the biggest growth as an artist. So tap the video on screen and let's get you there.